Charizard absolutely loaded, finally going to rip off a Blast Burn. Does Registeel respect the damage? They do not. They get one shot. Out comes Stunfisk. Charizard farming up, firing on CMP. Hashtag no baits on this channel. Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. My name is Jamie Finn, 1415. I was the first documented trainer in the world to reach legend only using Shadow Pokemon. And today we have an incredible battle submission from Anuxi. I apologise if I butcher your trainer name, but you can see from the intro he is using some very hard hitting Shadow Pokemon and we are in for some big booms. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one we need Shadow Registeel into Toxapex, a fantastic lead. The opponent safe switches into Sableye. We have our own Sableye for the Toxapex, so we're more than happy to stay in. Registeel in its shadow form, not the bulkiest. However, Zap Cannon going to hit for a lot of damage. The opponent commits the shield and we now see the pivot into our own Sableye. We can tank one neutral foul play. That does get us into the yellow. We're now over farming. Going to return fire with our own foul play. This is either going to secure the knockout or get the final shield. The opponent already down one shield elects to let themselves go if they come back into Toxapex, which they do. The poison jabs are resisted. Shadow Sableye still going to output a lot of damage. Shadow Sableye, an absolute monster. I really rate this thing. I've been using it for so many seasons. It's great to see other players finally figuring out the power of this Shadow. Just two foul plays have got this bulky Toxapex into the red. We send out Registeel. The opponent pivots into Trevenant and here comes Charizard. Charizard probably going to get baited, but at this stage there's absolutely nothing the opponent can do. They do master bait with the Seed Bomb. Charizard with two Protect Shields to hide behind. Overfarms, fires off the Dragon Claw. Securing the knockout, back out comes Toxapex. We've got the Dragon Claw locked and loaded. The opponent commits that final shield and it's CMP. We're just going to allow Charizard to go down. We could have shielded, we could have let it go. Either way, this game's over. Reggie comes back out, looking to have a feast. We don't even need to shield this, and we're going for the one shield flex. You love to see it. We tank the brine, make the Zap Cannon, and the triple Shadow team's off to a 1-0 start. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into battle number 2. We lead Shadow Regi into Whimsicott, another great lead. The opponent immediately safe switches into a Galarian Rapidash. Fairy in the front, Fairy in the back. A very interesting team comp from the opponent. However, these battles are played around Legend rank, so a lot of trainers are just looking to have fun. The opponent full sent the high horsepower, absolutely nuking our Registeel, but the Tin Can did survive. We drew a shield with the Zap Cannon pivot out into Sableye. We again don't shield the high horsepower and that does a lot of damage to Sableye. We did lose CMP, so we go for the undercharge. Foul play doesn't knock out. We actually allow ourselves to get super low. I really like this play. We then Shadow Claw down, leaving 0 farm. And of course, it is the third fairy. Charizard now about to feast. Anuxi sends out Charizard with 2 Protect Shields, too high behind. The opponent goes straight for the Brutal Swing, and Charizard going to be committing that first shield. The opponent also has 1 Protect Shield, too high behind. Weezing farms up a boatload of energy. The opponent goes for the catch. Anuxi holds his energy, farms up towards the back-to-back Blast Burn. Blast Burn absolutely nukes Whimsicott. Back out comes Galarian Weezing. They didn't catch, but Anuxi certainly did. Brutal Swing, actually undercharge. Can the opponent farm us down? Yes, they can. This is going to be a close end game. The opponent at a charge move. Charizard should survive 1 Brutal Swing and Anuxi elects to tank the first. He's now almost at the back-to-back Blast Burns. If the opponent looks to call the bait, they're going to be sad because hashtag no baits on this channel. Really high gameplay IQ from both trainers. Moving on to the next one, we see the Regi mirror. We instantly pivot into Shadow Sableye and the opponent answers with Noctowl. This annoying owl, usually a pretty good Sableye counter. However, the Shadow Sableye hits so hard that 2 foul plays with the resisted Shadow Claws actually knock out. Well, it's actually IV dependent. I should say they knock out a Swag Tips Noctowl. Either way, we fire off the first. The second one does draw a Protect Shield. The regular Sableye would have to land the return. Shadow Sableye can go straight foul play. So Anuxi's managed to get himself shield advantage in the mid game. We now come back into Registeel. Noctowl fires off the Shadow Ball. We tank the damage and here's the pivot. Charizard up shields, going to be committing a shield on the next Sky attack. Anuxi can now over farm massively. He does farm up. He actually goes for the farm down, which does mean we are going to have to commit our final Protect Shield, but Charizard is going to leave absolutely loaded. The opponent pivots out into Metachan, not wanting to get farmed down, and we go straight for the Blast Burn. It lands, Metachan near gets one shot. We can't quite wing attack farm down. However, this is just a power-up punch, which we easily tank. The opponent sends back out Noctowl, hoping we throw. Anuxi again shows great discipline. Registeel commits a shield on the Blast Burn, but don't worry, Tin Can, there's plenty more of where that come from. The second Blast Burn absolutely one-shots the bulky Regi, and we pull off another incredible dub. Let's go. Moving on to the next battle, we see a bit of a core breaker. Registeel into Deoxys. Charizard isn't going to appreciate the Rock Slide or Thunderbolt, so we are going to have to stay in. The opponent fires off the Thunderbolt. That gets Regi below half health, and we return fire with the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon draws a shield. We now see the pivot into Sableye. The opponent now answers with Umbreon, so we're looking at a bit of a rough spot. Countered in the lead and on the pivot. The resisted Shadow Claw is going to do absolutely nothing to the bulky Umbreon. Power Gem, pretty good situationally, however, against Umbreon, not the best charge move. They easily tank that. They're still in the green, and they're going to be getting rid of our Sableye. Sableye goes down. We have got shield advantage, so perhaps we're going to see yet another impressive Charizard sweep. We send back out Regi. However, we're already in the red. This foul play will be knocking us out. Anuxi going to be putting all his hopes and dreams on the back of this flying dragon-looking thing that actually isn't a dragon. Anuxi going to have to shield up the foul play. We need to keep Charizard healthy. Anuxi now farms up, fires off the Blast Burn before Umbreon able to make the next charge move. Blast Burn secures the knockout. Back out comes Deoxys. The opponent goes straight for the Psycho Boost. Anuxi forced the shield. We then throw one wing attack, and the opponent makes a great catch, catching the Blast Burn on Noctowl. Blast Burn hits super hard, but we're unable to knock out Anuxi, forced to fire off the Dragon Claw before Noctowl makes the Sky Attack. Dragon Claw does KO. Back out comes Deoxys, but they still have one Protect Shield. Too high behind, we fire off the Dragon Claw on CMP. The opponent commits that shield, and unfortunately Psycho Boost is going to be all she wrote. That team comp just a bit too tough for us to handle. Moving on to the next one. Shadow Regi into Shadow Dragonair. Despite us resisting the Dragon Breaths, they are going to add up, as we have got 20% less HP and the opponent is far spammier than us. They go straight for the Aqua Tail. Regi already in the yellow. We're now going for the Zap Cannon bait, banking on Dragonair shield, and the opponent does commit a shield. We now pivot out into Shadow Sableye. Despite us debuffing their attack, Dragon Breath still tearing us apart. We do commit a shield on the Aqua Tail. The opponent attempts to catch on Noctowl. I'm super impressed with Anuxi's gameplay IQ again. He holds his energy, anticipating the switch either way. We're just going to go straight foul play. And speaking of his gameplay IQ, again he farms up, fires on CMP, and he undercharges. An incredible play there, as he wants to farm down with Charizard, I imagine. No, we actually send out Regi. However, I don't think we're going to lock on down before the charge move. Moment of truth. Can Regi tank a Shadow Ball? Shadow Ball does land. We bank the Focus Blast, then wing attack down with Charizard. So we've got a Focus Blast locked and loaded for the end game. Back out comes Dragonair. We actually get outpaced to the Aqua Tail. We're going to be forced to commit a shield here. Body Slam does get shielded. Can we wing attack farm down? Yes, we can, but we're deep in the red. The opponent sends out Metachan, and Charizard going straight for the Blast Burn, looking to force the final shield. The opponent doesn't shield. This allows us to get to the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw does commit that final shield. The opponent actually throws energy as well, and that is going to be game over. The opponent had to commit to the farm down, as we've got a charge move locked and loaded, and we're going to somehow win that battle. Nicely done. I think huge misplay from the opponent, if I'm honest. They had to farm down. They probably didn't realise we banked the charge move, but either way, we pull off the dub. In the next battle, we lead Shadow Regi into a Bomber Snow. The opponent interestingly staying in. They shield up the Focus Blast. Regi does tank all moves from a Bomber Snow, but you can see that Shadow Bomber Snow hits super hard. We tank the Energy Ball pivot into Sableye. Again, Anuxi not looking to shield. Holy smoke. Shadow on Shadow Crime. That Weather Ball done huge damage. Anuxi now farms up, fires off the foul play. The opponent shields again, and they're going to farm down a Bomber Snow is down all shields, but have managed to take out 1.5 Pokemon. We can't come back in to Regi, so it's Charizard time. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down. Send out Lantern. Usually a pretty good Charizard counter, however not in the 2 to no shield. Resisted Blast Burn does absurd damage. Anuxi obviously going to be committing a shield here. The Sparks have already got us into the yellow. Anuxi outpaces to the next Blast Burn. This Blast Burn even resisted more than enough to knock out. The opponent unlikely to return to a Bomber Snow, so they're going to have to show their third. Opponent waiting out their timer. They send out Gliscor. The opponent fires off a charge move. We are going to have to tank this. Holy smokes, we're getting low. We make the Blast Burn and the opponent catches. What an incredible play from the opponent. We pivot into Regi, but unfortunately our Tin Can is about to eat an Earthquake to the face. We farm up to the Zap Cannon, we lose CMP, however Zap Cannon would be single resisted and wouldn't knock out. Really well played from the opponent. You can see at Legend rank the plays are very impressive. Moving on to the next one. Regi into Venusaur, a great lead. The opponent safe switches into their own Regi. They're behind on energy, so we go straight for the Focus Blast. Looking to apply some early shield pressure. The opponent does commit a shield. Anuxi staying in, looking to tank the charge move. Even a Focus Blast won't one-shot, and the opponent baits us for a Zap Cannon. We now see the pivot into Charizard. Regi already down 1 shield. Anuxi going to be shielding this Zap Cannon. We can now heavily overfarm. This opponent's in big trouble. Anuxi farms up to the back-to-back Blast Burns. Regi in a real tricky spot. They call the bait and hashtag we're not baiting. They now send out Stunfisk. We farm up on the CMP side. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. They get one shot. And Charizard absolutely going on a rampage. Pulling off an incredible sweep. In the next battle, we lead Regi into Metachan. We see the instant pivot into Sableye. The opponent answers with Ninetales. This is just a Weather Ball, which we do survive, and Anuxi can now return fire with the Power Gem. This is either going to force a shield or knock out. The opponent does commit a shield. The Shadow Claws have managed to get this thing into the yellow. Anuxi now sends back out Regi. Much like the Abomasnow matchup, all moves are resisted. They do start adding up. Dazzling Gleam almost does 50% of our HP. Anuxi over farms, fires off the Focus Blast. Focus Blast does secure the knockout, and we're spamming out into Charizard. Looking to sweep is Charizard versus Noctowl and Metachan. Anuxi again. Beautiful energy management, fires off the Blast Burn on CMP. The opponent commits their final shield. Anuxi going to be shielding up the Sky Attack. It takes Charizard 7, then 6, so we're going to reach this Blast Burn again on CMP. Noctowl might be bulky, but you, sir, are not bulky enough. Blast Burn does one shot, back out. Comes Metachan. The opponent obviously wants to eat another Blast Burn. We shield up the Ice Punch. We're going to make another Blast Burn. It's going to be high Metachan, bye Metachan. GG's, and thanks for playing. If any of you are wondering if Wing Attack Charizard is worth the Elite Fast TM, my god, what more do you need to see? Moving on to the next battle, great lead. The Tin Can into Wallface, we pivot into Charizard, we Wing Attack down before they even make a charge move. Charizard again loaded. However, this energy isn't going to be as useful as we've seen in the video as this Blast Burn. Only going to hit for neutral, and Wallface is so tanky. They tank that Blast Burn reasonably well. They do manage to smack down Farmers down. However, Regi, really comfortable. This is easily Focus Blast range. We still outpace before the opponent even throws a charge move. Focus Blast does get shielded. Because Wallface is so defense weighted, it hits like an absolute wet noodle. Anuxi doesn't shield up the Flamethrower. We tank that really easily. The opponent's got Metachan in the back, and this is what we like to call RPS for the win, baby. The opponent fires off the power-up punch. Shadow Claw gets Metachan super low. We do lag, however, foul play. Easily going to knock out. Back out, comes Bastiodon. It looks like the opponent concedes. Couldn't have happened to a nicer trainer. Moving on to the next one. Regi into Froslass, the opponent pivots into Metachan, and here comes Sableye. Sableye absolutely feasting. The opponent goes for the power-up punch bait, and we aren't shielding shit. Sableye now over farms up, fires on the CMP tire. Anuxi's energy management absolutely on point. We see the instant no shield power-up punch, not going to do a whole heap of damage. We're now going to Shadow Claw, farm down. They can't return with Froslass. Their third Pokemon is Scrafty. Power Gem, actually the correct play, as this is only single resisted, so it does do better damage per energy. Power Gem actually does some pretty decent resisted damage, and Sableye still not done. Fires off the foul play gets Scrafty into the yellow. We can now send out Charizard. The opponent probably going to bait us, however we do shield and the opponent full sends the foul play. The opponent makes one more foul play, and as they're so low, very unlikely to bait. Anuxi commits both protect shields. The opponent sends out Froslass, and this time we're going for the master bait. Anuxi shows he's the best master baiter of them all. Froslass commits the first protect shield, and we send back out Regi. Regi tanks the Shadow Ball, however that does a lot of damage. We now over farm, fire off the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon will be getting the final protect shield off Froslass. Can the opponent double up on moves? The opponent farms up as much as physically possible. Great counting from the opponent. They fire off the Avalanche though. No trainer. You maximise your energy. However, you went for the wrong charge move. Regi says Avalanche ain't going to be taking me out, pal. And the opponent then concedes. Huge shout out to Anuxi for the battle submission. That was great fun. My god, do these 3 shadows hit super hard. 2 of these Pokemon do have legacy moves. I don't know if I'd recommend Regi, to be honest. I think the regular, as much as it pains me to say, is better in the Great League because we offer 0 fast move pressure. So you're probably better off going with the bulkier normal. However, moving on to Shadow Charizard with its legacy wing attack, definitely worth it. My god, did Charizard go on an absolute tear up in this video. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel, like Anuxi did. My link to my battle submission form is down below. I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.